Jai Hind everyone. Welcome to another episode of You Are Limitless, You Are Limitless. I, Cadet Pritika, and in today's special episode, we are honored to have with us someone who embodies the spirit of perseverance, dedication, and service to the nation. Joining us is V.S Sathwik, an Ex NCC cadet who recently cracked the prestigious SSB interview and is soon heading to Otia, Chennai to begin his journey as a short service commissioned officer. So, everybody will having a backstory. What was your backstory to join NCC?
As we know, proverb that charity starts from home. My inspiration to join NCC as well as Defence Forces started from my home. I used to look upon my father. He is an NCC ANO. So gradually I developed interest in joining NCC and Defence Forces. So this is the simple backstory that I have.
Sir, as you mentioned your dad was an ANO. How did that help you recommended in armed forces?
So basically when your father is an ANO, you directly get into the zone of being perfect all the time. You have to put up to his name. You cannot do something wrong that gets him a bad remark. So initially his discipline motivated me a lot, being an ANO. So he's being in and out NCC officer, so that helped me gaining my time discipline, my appearance, my clothing, my way of speaking. So these all are the things that majorly gain you to go for SSB interview. So when you give your interview, it is basically based on three things like Manasa, Vacha and Karmana: psychology, interview and GTO. So from my NCC days, from my childhood also, I unknowingly got trained in these three things. So you have to be on time, you have to put up yourself, you have to dress well, you have to eat well, you have to sleep well, you have to exercise well. So all these things came in hand for me for my SSB interview.
So what was the difference between ANO and your father?
So there are very major differences for an ANO and a father. See, here let us take some reference. I think you have watched Dangal movie, right?
Yeah.
So in that movie there is a dialogue by Amir Khan that either I can be a father or I can be a coach.
Yeah.
So my father was playing the two roles, ANO in college and father in the house. So initially it took me a year to digest the fact that okay, he's also my officer on ground and a father off ground. So initially it was a bit tough for me, but I wouldn't say that was a very challenging part for me. No, that was not at all challenging because I know him as a father and as an ANO what he thinks off ground. On ground he's an ANO, but off ground he's my father. So I can be with him as me, but on ground you have to behave as a cadet. So there are few challenges which I faced personally, but those are but we see in a long view those are not big challenges that you need to get scared of. So there is nothing much to worry about being an ANO and father, but you just need to be vigilant all the time because in college he's your ANO. You have to speak to an ANO, not your father. So you have to be cautious all the time. So this is the main thing that I faced.
So could you tell any funny moments?
Okay, when you come to funny moments, yes, there are funny moments because see, I was adapting to ANO and a father role, but he always see me as his son, because when we used to stand in parade or when we used to stand in ground, he used to call me by my...
So could you just explain us about SSB selection? How does it go?
So basically SSB interview is a total of 5-day process. It consists of stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 1 is conducted on the first day, which consists of OIR tests, verbal and non-verbal, and it also consists of PPDT, picture perception and descriptive test. So after that is called your screening. Once the tests are conducted, you get either screened in or screened out. Then eventually your second, third and fourth day, your stage 2 tests go on, which are the psychology, GTO and interview tests. So on the second day, the psychology test will be done, and the GTO day 1 and day 2 will be on your third and fourth day, and your interview will be scheduled eventually in the second, third or fourth day as per the what we have as per the schedule. So on the 5th day your conference will be conducted, and based on all your marks during the psychology test, during the GTO test and the interview test, you'll be sitting in the conference and you'll be getting the result if you get recommended or not. This is the basic SSB interview.
So could you just tell us about your memorable moments in SSB selections?
Okay, when you say memorable, I would like to say on the day of screening, which is 29th May, it was actually my parents' anniversary. It was the 22nd anniversary. So that day was very special for me. I actually wanted to be with my mother, but unfortunately I was in Allahabad. So I was badly missing my mother. So the day I got screened in, my mother was very happy. And of course on the day I got recommended, which is 2nd June. Those two were the most memorable days in my life that I wouldn't forget.
Sir, as you went SSB twice, what was the difference between TES and NCC special entry? How did you go through it?
So when I went for my TES entry, it was in 2021 December. I was 17 years old then. So my NCC special entry, I went in May 2024. So exactly 3 years difference. So of course there are changes in my perspective, as I would say. So basic difference, there is no much difference. There you are seen as a permanent commission candidate. Here you are seen as short service candidate. So there is no much difference between the procedures they follow, the curriculum they have. The only thing that changed is my perspective of seeing things. So these 3 years teaches you a lot. So that is the major difference that I visibly acknowledged in my 2 SSB attempts.
So what are the key factors that you got recommended in SSB?
Okay, so talking about key factors that made me get recommended in my SSB is particularly I can speak about the interview. When you in the interview, the interviewer asked me, name any 5 current topics that you know. So I was going in an order of international, national and local things. So I have mentioned already 4 current news, in which IPL was one of the things, because when I gave my interview it was May 30th and IPL final was conducted just 4 or 5 days before. So when I was done with my 4 news and I was going to say about my 5th news, interviewer himself asked me, okay gentlemen, you have said the 4 current news, explain any one in detail. So IPL was there, so I am, as a cricket enthusiast, it's an opportunity to speak about cricket in front of an interviewer. So I spoke in and out about IPL and what I know about cricketing things. So in those things there are few key factors which I mentioned regarding Kolkata Knight Riders, SRH, what they have achieved in the IPL season, and also one takeaway thing was RCB, I would say, because I specifically mentioned it, because when you statistically see in the starting month of May, RCB was down the table, and with the qualifying percentage of 0.1%, it got into the playoffs. So I think not only for any sports person or any individual in the sports, it's a motivation for the entire nation that even if you have 0.1% chance of achieving your goal, just go for it. You might get it, right? So these are few takeaway things I think which got me recommended, which I feel it got me recommended.
So why did you choose IPL topic? Why couldn't you choose another one?
Okay, this was the thing that came from the interviewer himself. If the interviewer would have asked me to speak upon the other 3 topics, which are Rafa attack, elections and heat wave, I would have spoken about it normally in 1 or 2 minutes. बोल देता मैं, but sir ने खुद पूछा कि take 4 choices है, pick any one and go give your take on that. 2 minutes तक मुझे अच्छा सा outview दे दो पूरा. So see, of course you're a cricket fan, so if you get a chance to speak about cricket, it's a blessing I see for all the fans. So when the interviewer himself gave me an option to choose your interested one, so just go for it. Don't think twice or don't get tensed in front of the interviewer. If you get tensed, वो सर पकड़ लेंगे कि ये टेंशन हो रहा है, मतलब इसको कुछ पता नहीं है या इसका कुछ फैक्ट्स सही नहीं है. सो जस्ट गो फॉर इट. IPL बोल दिया तुमने, ओके जस्ट गो विद द IPL. क्रिकेट है, नॉलेज है, कहीं ना कहीं तो काम आएगा क्रिकेट. सो आई जस्ट वेंट फॉर इट. देयर वाज नो सेकंड थॉट ऑन गोइंग for taking IPL as an option. So IPL actually helped me in my recommendation, I would say.
So what advice would you give to aspiring cadets to join Indian Armed Forces?
Okay, particularly for candidates who are aspiring to Indian Army, and of course who are going to the side of corporate side also, this would be a great advice for them, because I personally experienced it, that don't jump to a conclusion half knowledgely, because for a brief moment of 6 months in my life I tried to get into IT with half knowledge, so but it was not my cup of cake. So initially from day one I was preparing for joining the defense forces, right? So sudden change in my goal actually helped me mend my ways in many ways. So one piece of advice that I would give for the candidates who are preparing for defense is consistency. I would say be consistent, get to know what is going around you, get to know what Indian Army is aspiring from you. So if you are clear in what you should give to them, they are clear in what they want. You have to be clear in what you give. So be consistent. And one of the major thing that I would say is disciplined in what? अगर तुमने दिन का सोचा कि मैं 2 घंटा ही पढ़ाई करूँगा, करो 2 घंटा, बट कंसंट्रेशन के साथ करो. ऐसा 2 घंटा पढ़ो, 1 घंटा ब्रेक लो, फिर 2 घंटा पढ़ो. ऐसा दिन में 6 to 7 hours स्टडी. If you are preparing for written exam, you have to give yourself a solid 6 to 7 hours of preparation. 2 घंटा ही पढ़ो, फिर take rest. बट अगर दिन में 6-7 घंटे ही पढ़ो ना, कंसंट्रेशन के साथ पढ़ो. Of course, I would one more advice that I would give is exercise. Just go for a jog. मतलब इतना heavy duty exercise करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Just go for a jog, minimum push-ups, minimum things. All the NCC cadets we do in the रगड़ा बोलते हैं ना, तो all those things actually help in your SSB. When you go for SSB, when you do the obstacles, when you do the individual obstacles, when you do the progressive group task, and when you do the all the tasks there, so actually these all help in the ways which you can't even imagine, being physically and mentally fit. So I would say the consistency and discipline are the two major things that every aspiring defense candidate should have.